Okay, we will
No, he's got a picture of
open
me.
the September 24th Select Board meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okey dokey, manifests.
I'll make a motion to approve the accounts payable manifest of September 24th, 2018, and the payroll manifest of September 25th, 2018.
Second.
All in favor? Okay. Full stack. Okay, minutes.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from September 10th, 2018.
Second.
All in favor? Is that intended to include both public and non-public?
Motion to accept the non-public minutes from September 10th, 2018. Sorry.
Can I have a second on that?
Second.
All in favor? All right, reports from assigned boards and committees.
We've got one from the 27th.
Oh, sorry, wasn't on the agenda.
Make a motion to accept the minutes from the non-public session of August 27th, 2018. Is that as amended? No edits? Okay. All right.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Okay. Assigned to boards and committees. Let's start with planning.
Last planning board meeting was canceled for lack of agenda, and we are meeting this Wednesday night next.
Okay? Budget?
Budget's meeting October 4th.
Okay. That's it. Okay, Chris.
Let's see, Little River Road work is essentially complete. It was reclaimed and repaved last week. Looks pretty good. Came in just under budget. We still have overlay projects pending on 3 other roads. I don't have a hard calendar on those yet. We have bids due Friday for Cooper Hill. CMA did that the whole bid document process for it, because it's much more complex than our usual shim and seal coat operation. So that we are expecting 2 or 3 responses to that anyway, from what we know so far. be ready to move on that early next week. Calendar's getting tight, so we're gonna move pretty quickly with that once we have the results, and assuming they come in close to budget, anyway. Let's see, fuel bids are back for next year, steep increases on, as you know, crude oil price is a lot higher than it was a year ago, and that's finding its way to our number 2 heating oil. Looks like it's going to go from about $1.90 to about $2.65 a gallon.
Wow.
And propane's going to go from $1.40 to $1.60, something. I don't think we dropped the budget as much as the prices dropped, so it won't be as big a hit, but obviously it's cash out of pocket, so. You have a date for the solar ribbon cutting, which is the 17th.
Yep.
Don't think I have anything else for you at this point. We'll talk about your 10/8 meeting later, or we can do it now. Housekeeping duties. It's a holiday for some, it's town holiday.
Stay.
We still are expecting discussion on Marston that night, and we're due to do third quarter financials either there or the following week, but the following meeting, that following meeting is getting filled up too, so.
Who's coming in from Marston?
Matt and Barry.
Okay.
We're waiting for some harder numbers. I don't want to go through the exercise if we don't have
Okay.
hard numbers, but that's what we've been shooting for. Is that, so, I'm happy to be here on the 8th, but I don't know what your schedules are
I'm
for the
fine.
federal holiday, and if you want to meet or push it or skip it, you know. The meetings are going to fill up in the fall, so I don't want you to stack too much in the back end, but.
My only concern is pushing Marston out, from Marston. And I'm available.
Yep. All right, we will meet
Is that okay, Tony?
What date?
8th, 2 weeks from tonight.
Yeah, were we not gonna meet?
Or it's-
Oh, I understand.
I think we probably didn't.
Columbus. No, it's not, but that's, yeah,
Fine.
that works for me.
Okay.
Okay.
Want to do the, well, first, does anybody have any other questions for Chris? Any topic? Okay. You want to do the MS 535?
Yes, MS 535, this is you reporting to DRA that, what the closing financials are. You've seen all of this already, and we just need you to name and sign it.
Get the final copy, because that.
Well, I can give you the same thing without the word draft on it, but
Well,
the
it
numbers haven't
references-
changed.
It references page numbers that are just passed.
You're talking about the audit? But, yeah, okay, so the audit, we just got the final audit today without the draft stamp on it. The auditor is coming to meet with you either the 8th or the 22nd. Since I didn't know if you were meeting, I didn't nail him down on the 8th, so nothing changed between the draft and the final in terms of numbers. And that's what's reflected here. You've seen this already electronically. We just need to have you sign the cover sheet so we can send it to DRA and get the tax rate setting process
Oh,
going.
is this for more money, less money?
Was the firm more money or less money?
What was the audit? What was?
I think it was a little bit more than we had been paying.
Because it just
Yeah.
seemed like he sliced and diced the same data.
Yeah, it's a different presentation of the same stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't really.
Nope.
Oh, okay, that's
Yep. Yeah, there are a couple of things that are presented a little bit differently, but what we have to report to the state is kind of, it is what it is. This is what we spent, period. And we know that. Some certainty now, so. If you have any other audit-related questions that you want me to have him ready to discuss on the 8th,
I didn't have
go ahead
any
and
questions, it was good.
fire them at me, but this is a thicker, I won't say deeper, it's just a thicker presentation than what we've had in the past.
It's informative.
Yeah. So
I'll just
that
hand that down.
is what I'm asking you to sign. What I'm getting you for Christmas. Black pen.
I always have a red one in my
I'm
pocket.
gonna tape it right to the thing right here.
What does MS-535 mean?
It's the name of a state DRA form that the town submits. Most DRA forms have a number associated with it.
What's the DAR form?
DRA, Department of Revenue Administration.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, should have started with that.
Okey dokey.
Thank you.
I learned long ago in the Army that you don't answer a question about an acronym with another acronym.
I like that.
Don't ask me what MS stands for on the MS 535, I don't know.
Microsoft.
It used to be MRS, but they changed it.
Isn't the press supposed to be silent?
You can put transparency.
I'm gonna jump around and do Antioch, then LRAC, and then tax deed waiver process, yeah. Okay, did you guys all get a chance to look at the proposal that Charlene sent for Antioch University, the service project? Do you want to just give a quick?
Yeah, sure. So after I met with you, it just, I went and I met with the conservation pointed out that this runs from January to April, so you're not gonna see
Right.
it, but it would
Right.
still allow us to kind of do an inventory of runoff and so what I put together was really just looking at items that we have in the master plan, which is update for urban design standards to ensure that there is minimal impact on downstream roads, impact on drainage, left grade street, water quality. So this will allow us to them to help us kind of do an inventory of roadways in which there might be some runoff or some drainage issues that we need to address. Not to do the work right away, but to help us kind of develop, we've talked about, we really need to kind of put together a plan. So this will help us kind of gather that data without our highway department trying to go out and do it. Gather the data, work with, work with, Chris, look at maps. So I kind of bulletized the project. Submit it in, there's no guarantees. I did find out from that there's actually another one of these in this. I suspect is probably more competitive,
Yeah.
but, so we might be able to submit, if we don't get this picked, this go around, we might be able to resubmit at that time, add in.
Doesn't hurt.
Not wait. So, we've got nothing to lose on this, except, a little bit of my time and probably Chris's time and staff time. Just kind of coordinate it, but-
I'm fine with it. I thought it looked good.
So if everybody's a go, then this is due on the 28th. So if everybody's due tonight, then I'll submit it in and,
Go.
okay.
I like it.
Okey dokey. The Lamprey River Management Advisory Committee nominee form. So,
Send that down to Charlene, that's where this originated.
Yeah, so Teresa Thompson, who used to live in town, and then moved, back, and she was on the River Advisory Council. And then
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
and said, hey, you folks, because so much of the Lamprey River is in Nottingham,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
actually have 4 seats at the table that you could fill. And we've always had a problem trying to find someone. Teresa's been on it before. Teresa Thompson's been on it before. She's willing to be on it again. She has background. She's been involved in that. So she's looking to list.
I didn't realize she was back in town.
Yeah, she's moved back. She's back on Barbary Lane.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she's done so much for the town that I'm in favor of it. Do we need a formal motion on this?
I think at the bottom of that, it's looking for
Okay.
an appointment.
On the bottom of the DE. So yeah, so we'll put forth her name, and then it goes to DES, who actually
Okay.
appoints her.
There was one in your signature folder too, with all 3 pages of the document. I only gave you the 2.
Well, can you just,
Okay, so
Yeah,
I'll just
just-
make a motion that we put forth Teresa Thompson's name to the Lamprey River Management Advisory Committee.
Second.
all in favor?
Both of them, right.
I guess we just, 3 of us need to sign this. It's sent in.
Is there a second?
That was me.
Thank you.
And we're just signing one, right? That's
Yeah,
just
you
that?
just sign the DES. And Teresa just asked to let her know when you send that.
How many, oops, yeah. How many signatures do you need? Chris, there's 3 here.
There's 3.
3's fine.
In the, just under the category of general business, again, I've been reminded that the newsletter deadline is October 1. Anybody have any suggested topics? Anyone?
Anything, not necessarily town-specific, but periodic reminder about phone and email scams that tend to target non-tech savvy folks. Even some of us that are tech savvy. Can't say I'm immune.
Do we want to put in a preview of what the budget planning cycle is going to be like, what we go through? Sure. It's going to be the world's shortest.
I'll put some thought into
Okay.
topics.
It would be after the fact of the ribbon cutting,
Oh, that's right. Wasn't there supposed to be a website where you could look at the power output of the meters? So maybe get that out there so people can.
Thank everybody that worked the,
Okay. Okay, well, if you think of anything else, let me know. Okay, tax deed.
All right, this is something we've historically done more in the January, February timeline. Tax collector's given you the list of 2015 liens, which are now eligible for tax deeding. Before I put all that in front of you, I just wanted to check in and see if you are still comfortable with the methodology that we have typically used, which is to avoid those things that are going to cause us liabilities is kind of an obvious one. Owner-occupied homes, we have not typically tax deeded, but the numbers on a couple of them are getting bigger, and I wanted to pause and make sure you wanted to keep going with what you've typically done, and then highlight things that aren't, to our knowledge anyway, owner-occupied, and if you want to treat them any differently. You have that list, and we can turn around things for you to vote and sign on if you wish to waive them relatively quickly, but we haven't talked about this in a while, so.
So, what are you asking for?
I'm asking, do you want me to do anything differently, or do you want to keep doing what we've been doing?
Anyone? I mean, I don't see any clear trigger that says that we should be doing something differently. But, anyone else have an opinion?
Yeah, I agree, but.
Yeah, what are the alternatives?
So is part of this discussion that we're gonna look at some of these in particular, or are you just looking for, yes, let's?
If you want to, we will, and that's what I'm asking you, is do you want to pull any off the list, or treat any of them any differently? You have some that, I would strongly recommend you not tax deed. There are others that I would recommend that you consider if you want to approach these things differently. You've got some vacant land there, you've got, those come to the forefront in my mind because you've always handled those on a case-by-case basis. And you've got, the numbers are getting bigger, and I don't have a recommendation for you. I just wanted to not shove it in front of you and say, here, do this, without giving you the opportunity to think about it. That's all.
I think it warrants more discussion. Some of these numbers I'm looking at are pretty high, and some of them look like they've been waived. I'd like to know more about it before I make a final decision.
The ones that I would suggest you waive?
Yep.
Okay. You want to do that right now, or do you want to do it in 2 weeks? I'm
Whatever
prepared to
the
talk
board
about
feels
all those
comfortable.
right now if you want.
We could do it now if you want.
Okay. The the collection of properties at 10 and 12 Barrington Road, we've talked about on a couple occasions. We are seeing some progress on the cleanup that we were looking for out there. The building inspector was out there last week. It is not a closed question, but we are moving toward our objective, which is to get the place cleaned up first and foremost.
They don't plan on selling it, right? Is that-
Don't have any indication that it's on the market or anything like that.
Okay.
Anything on this list, if it does sell, we'll get paid
Okay.
everything that's due. So a sale is generally a good thing for us in
Right,
this,
right.
in this case. The map 24 lot 103, that parcel is, we've had that on this list for a while. The legal status of it, who has the right to pass over it to access the water body that it's on, was the subject of quite a lot of consternation around revaluation time. It's still not really clear. I don't think we want to get involved in it as an owner. Right. I don't see us collecting on it anytime soon, but I don't see that happening. There are 4 parcels at Cedar Waters Village. None of that is land. It's all improvements or trailers or structures of some sort on top of the land there.
That one I have a question on, because, do you know, I mean, these are units that they're leasing, right? Do we know if they're leasing the land that this sits on?
I would assume that there is some lease or rental agreement in play there, yeah. We aren't necessarily privy to that, but
Right, so, because this is kind of like, it's like, landowner owns the land, and they pay lease to put it on the property. So there must be some kind of recourse that business would have if taxes weren't being paid on the property. Because I would imagine if they're not paying the property, they're probably not paying the one would assume, right?
I don't know.
But I'm wondering if we should seek some, or have we sought legal counsel as far as how to address things?
Not recently, no. And I think the primary reason for that is the dollars at stake.
We'd spend
If
more
it-
on a lawyer.
And what, you don't want to own whatever it is.
Right, we know
So
that.
you take those two pieces, we're not talking about a lot of money, you don't want to own it. The legal principle is a very valid question, but I think it's probably not been pursued for practical reasons. And I can do that if you wish.
But we'll spend more in legal fees than we would stand to collect from.
It's a short, I mean, if you want to do anything about it, it's going to cost more, but just getting more of an understanding of the legal situation is
And do
not
we
that
know if
expensive.
these are in a defunct state like we've been told?
No, we don't have up-to-date information on each of them like that.
Can we get information on them?
We can ask. We're not permitted on the property to,
So how does,
for assessing purposes.
so how does the town affect proper tax collection in that scenario? If we're being obstructed somehow? For all we know, there's a 5-star restaurant down there. 4-star.
There's so many ways we could go with that, but we'll just slide right over that.
My tongue is bleeding. I don't have a good answer for you on that, Tony. I can consult with our assessors and come up with a little bit more an appropriate answer, but I don't have one at my fingertips. I'm not brushing off the question. It's a very fair question. I don't want to answer it poorly.
Piggybacking on what Charlene was saying, I can't imagine that the property owner, Cedar Waters, wouldn't have something in their lease that they gotta have their taxes and insurances and on that particular trailer or whatever building it is up to date, otherwise they could end up taking it for themselves to recoup the money that they have to pay out for the taxes on that building.
And they're holding a liability on them if
Yeah.
they are in defunct states. And if there's other people that are like that.
We're not the first town to face questions like this.
Right, right.
All right, I'll find out more for you on that. Proceed?
Oh, yeah.
And the last one on the first list of suggested waivers is map 68, lot 110. The owner has been working with us and the resident, the actual owner of the property and the resident of the property have been working with us on an abatement and an exemption. They probably qualify for an exemption, but it's kind of a tricky situation. So not a case where I suspect this ends up with the staff or the assessor recommending an abatement for the vast majority of this based on the needs of the residents. So I wouldn't rush into tax deeding this
Yeah, that looks
for
like
that
that's
purpose.
part of the reimbursement.
It's worse. Yeah, I can give you a whole bunch more on it, but it's, that's that. So those are the ones that I, right off the top, suggested that you waive the tax deeds on. Going down the list from there, map 24, lot 143, to the best of our knowledge, is a rental property. It was on this list. It's been on this list for a couple of years and just avoided tax deeding last year with a last-minute payment. The next three are vacant parcels, also on the list for a while.
They're small parcels, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's as much a value judgment here for you as it worth worth it for the amount owed. And the remainder, as far as we can tell, are owner occupied.
Is there for some of these that, is there some kind of mitigation program that we have been connected to, which is they probably more than just these bills, that, a resource that might be available to help set up terms with creditors?
I am not aware, I mean, other than no, I don't know, I'm sure something exists, but I don't know what it is.
I was gonna try and.
We're
I was
different
gonna
than
try and
other
search.
creditors, and we're,
Right.
this isn't a, go
I'm
ahead.
thinking through kind of, through our welfare officer, because again, I don't wanna assume, but, there's probably more than just this bill that's not getting paid. And there are services out there that will work with creditors and negotiate terms. If it was for a cost, we could at least give them that might help alleviate some any of these being
Chipped away at?
chipped away
I,
at?
off the top of my head, I don't know. We can get that
Top one doesn't
information.
look like it, because that
No.
number looks pretty.
No, those top three anyway are not. And these are not, the total owed is in almost all these cases is multiple years' worth of liens added together. This is not the 2015 tax bill, obviously, at these numbers, so. I will chat with Sue about, these aren't classic welfare cases because there are assets and oftentimes income at levels that you don't see in a welfare case. And nor have we done a whole lot of outbound work in welfare since we don't solicit that business. But if there is a good resource there, we'll try and find it.
Remember there was legislation maybe as far as like
Yeah, legislature reduced the rates to, statutory lien rates went from 12 and 18 to,
Late payment went from 12 to 6%.
so the smaller number is the first year's interest, and the larger interest rate is for the subsequent years.
when is that effective? Is that effective 2018? or-
Tax year 2019.
Levy issued after April 1, 2019. So it's not going to have an immediate effect. Will it be?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so these are gonna keep climbing at 18.
So Chris, do you have any specific recommendations for us on any of these larger ones?
No.
Okay.
No, your normal course of business for the owner-occupied ones would be to waive the tax deed, so.
Yeah. Sure. I will give you 4 minutes, Gene.
I recently attended the New Hampshire Tax Collectors Association conference. A big subject was deeding. Our attorney's name is Bart Mayer. Bart's involved in a case right now that's been up to the Supreme Court, partially decided, partially remanded, and it seems that deeding is, I'm going to be asking for assistance for any deeding because of the litigation that's going on, and Bart's a good source for that because he presented to the Supreme Court. It's a long case, I won't get into it, but it has to do with deeding. It's got many facets to it. So deeding shouldn't be taken lightly. A lot of towns do it carte blanche, which involves evicting.
Okay, so does anybody on the board have any thoughts or wants to make any recommendations or anything relative to what we're seeing here on this list?
I think we'll give us more information on those.
Right, but I'm talking about the ones at the,
And the only ones, I mean, one of those individuals had called me last year, I think, when thought that it was, thought she had said she,
okay,
but yeah, I don't know, other than trying to help them. But at some point in time, that top one is we're gonna have to.
yeah, but for now,
Okay.
good. All right, we have to go into a non-public session, but I'm suspecting you guys are here for a specific reason. So we can give you a few minutes if you want to.
I want to say something for a minute, not.
Okay.
in talking,
Oh, okay.
but not just the ones that are here tonight, other ones too, is there seems to be a major concern of security in this building after hours, I would say. And what, we all know what happened one night when we left here. I mean, that, I know it's Nottingham, but not the same Nottingham a lot of people probably grew up with. And there's bad people out there, and I have a concern personally of the safety of our employees and people that work for our town. I just want to let them be heard on what's been going on, what they're, I guess, up against, and what they believe would be a good recommendation to make it safer for them. Safer workplace, a safer environment.
I have a question for Chris.
So I'm sorry, was there a specific recommendation?
No, I mean, I know that there is plans on doing something to make it safer for them.
Yep, okay.
Sandy Weston. Chris, have you got a final draft of the office improvements from Gary or?
The last thing, yeah, pretty much the last thing I showed you is where we're headed. But I don't think there's gonna be major changes from there. And my understanding was that everybody was comfortable with where they were. Is that still the case?
It's been a while since I've seen it, so I've spoken with Tyler and Ben about an incident last week or the week before between resident and Lori. And I don't know if everybody's been brought up to date on that or not.
About like 2 weeks ago?
2-3 weeks ago.
2-3 weeks ago?
Laurie was visibly shaken, frightened, so much so that Gary got involved with between the two of them, and he's not very comfortable with it either. And I don't know if you want me to go into any detail on that or not. I don't know if Tony knows or Charlotte.
If it's the one from 3 weeks ago, yeah.
I think we're all familiar enough
We're
with that.
familiar with it, and I know
Yeah.
that you went and talked
If we're all talking about the same thing.
Was there another one?
I don't know. That's,
There was a
gentleman who was aggressive
very much so.
in his body language.
He left and came back again, and another person who happened to be in the office pulled out his cell phone and he was recording it.
Yes.
Okay, so that's, so
I'm
we're,
That's, all right, everybody's aware of that.
yeah, we don't
okay?
need to go into the detail of it.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
So I have a couple of things that I would like to see done. We have a panic button. I don't think anybody in our office knows what happens if we push that button, except that we get a really loud alarm. I've been told that it goes to dispatch, and then dispatch would call our police department, and it may be a while before they got there. I don't think the rest of the people in this building know how to respond to that. I know I don't. If it goes off, what are we supposed to do? I think it would be very helpful if we were all brought together and given some instruction on what we should do if we have to push it, and if it has been pushed by anybody else, what we should do, and what we should do if there are people in our office. What do we talk about? That's number one. See a policy somewhere that lets everybody know who has to find out if there's anybody else in this building. And on numerous occasions I've come in when they're on a Sunday or a Saturday to put cash in the cash drawer or whatever, that door is unlocked, all the lights are on, There's nobody in the building. I'm calling out, is anybody here? Hello, hello? I don't know if I'm alone or not. It's very concerning. That front door, you can't just rely when you close it, that automatic thing is gonna make it lock, because it doesn't. You have to push on it to make it lock. That's another thing. Lighting in the parking area. Tuesday night after the election, 10 o'clock, I'm walking out of here, dead dark. There's a gully that comes down from that upper parking lot that's washed out. I stepped in that, turned my ankle, and almost went down onto my knees because I couldn't see where I was going or what I was stepping. I don't think that's a safe environment either. I don't think it's safe for us to be alone in this building when there's nobody else here. You and I talked about that, Damien, and I touched on it, and I think I got some agreement from you that it isn't safe. Like you just said, Tyler, Nottingham is not the Nottingham that we know it's. Anyway, I don't like to come to work when I'm afraid. I don't like my deputy in tears because she's afraid. I like to see some of these issues resolved. And it may mean that I'm going to change my hours. We have to. Somebody wants to have something.
Actually, Sandy, can I ask you a question real quick?
Absolutely.
When you're asking for training, are you asking for, in terms of the type of training, you're asking for how to handle a situation after it's happened, or are you talking about like de-escalation training to keep it from happening?
Well, Chris has already put us on to Climax.
Yep.
We're having a training on how, what is it called? Trying to deal with,
Difficult customer.
Essentially, it's the de-escalation.
De-escalation.
It's in that family.
Yeah.
Are there relevant trainings available for the other side of that situation? The situation's happened, and then how do you deal with it?
I think it's a little
No,
more, almost like a.
not that I'm saying.
No, but that's something that we should be able to bring people together, discuss it. Gunner should be able to help with that, right? Yeah.
well, I think what I'm asking for is, as far as the policy on the people who use this building and what they're supposed to do as far as locking up and being sure that all the lights are off and
Yeah.
everything, that's something that Chris could set up for the people that work in this building, most of us.
Yep.
There could be something on the doorway that says, you know, what the policy is if we're gonna be using this building when we're not here. And as far as the panic button, I think that's something that the people that work in this building should be brought together at some point and instructed
Yep.
face to face on what should be done.
I agree, and that, again, I think that that's something that Gunner can help with.
I don't know, I was saying, it was on the lights, a lot of that's been my fault, when other stuff going on, but I'm meeting with Eversource Thursday, getting lights donated, and we'll have them up with them, up like a Christmas tree out there.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
Dee Decker, I'm here, on behalf of the supervisors. We have some of the same concerns. I really didn't like leaving Bonnie and Sandy here on election night at 9 o'clock when we left, but my ride was leaving, and so I didn't have a whole lot of a choice. If town clerk changes her hours, the supervisors are required by statute to to hold certain hours on a Tuesday night before an election from 7 to 7:30. We don't have a choice of changing those hours, and sometimes we are here by ourselves in the building. And it's disconcerting. You hear, somebody walking down the hall and you have no idea, who it is, or, if they're coming in to, see you, or when we're leaving and we're checking things to make sure nobody's in the building, it's 3 women. And there's nobody else around. And so, we're here in bad storms, we have to be here in snowstorms. So, making sure that, we have good lighting and things like that. is really important. And making sure that panic button work is really important, because when it's just us by ourselves, it's, you know, it was suggested that I bring my dog to work so that I knew somebody was coming in the building. I don't really think I should have to bring my dog to work just to, you know, feel safe. So, all right.
Thank you.
Gene Reed. I'm here late 2 nights a week. My office hours are 6 to 8, but it invariably runs over paperwork. When I leave, occasionally there are people in the gym, anything from medieval fighting to basketball, 2 or 3 people. I don't know if they're supposed to be there or not, and I don't challenge them because maybe I'm wrong, but I assume that they know how to lock up and take care of lights, fire doors, front door doesn't latch. So it would be real helpful if we knew the schedule. The gym, the other offices kind of speak for themselves. The planning board's here or somebody's in here. Aware, I think. So those offbeat things that I went in and talked to the guys one night that were doing medieval fighting, and they said, oh,
Alrighty then. Okay, so I think, you know, out of the 3 things that Sandy outlined, to me, I mean, they should be relatively easy. You know, I mean, the lighting, thank you, that's all set. The training on how to respond when the button is pushed, I think is a great idea. I think that's something, Chris, you can work with Gunner, bring everybody together on that. And then the same thing on the policy on the building use. So it is my understanding that when you press the button, it goes to dispatch and then to the police. So that, you know, that is working in place.
you know it works.
Yeah.
We actually had a inadvertent test not too long ago. It was pressed by mistake next door, and so that, you know, the notification to dispatch portion does work.
And do they know that when that goes off, they need to like come soon, not just like at their leisure?
Yeah, it would be, at dispatch, it would be treated as an emergency of, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not some alarm company somewhere, it's dispatch. They're getting that alarm, so.
That inadvertent activation instrument, that was the police department. Nobody knew what that was. When I say nobody, she knew what it was, but she came down to us, you guys hear that alarm? Is there something, but it wasn't a big signal that I've heard, that I understand, listening.
Okay.
I don't know, same system.
All right, I'll check I'll check on that, because when I've heard this system, there's no doubting what it is, so, yeah, we'll check on that. Yeah, you've heard
The
it, yeah.
important thing about that though is, does it really go to dispatch?
Yeah. Yeah, that part where, yes, but the, if it goes off anywhere, it should go off anywhere. Or the other way, if it goes off anywhere, it should go off everywhere.
But I'm assuming
That is odd to me, so that.
I'm assuming that if it went off while there was an officer in the police department, we'd see him quicker than her.
Yes, I think that's probably a fair assumption.
Think so?
Yeah, but we'll make sure with, you know, turnover and whatnot, I don't know where that, we'll make sure that they all know what that noise means. But as you know, at that hour of the day, we have one officer on, they're on the road more often than not, so, but we'll check on that piece too. So.
Danny, you wanna know what the plan would be, so if you were in your office
Yep.
and you heard the buzzer, you want a plan, what do we do?
Absolutely.
And what about this, Sandy? You know, we just recently got security cameras. If you had a monitor, right, in your room that showed you who's coming and going through the door, so at least you gotta, you know, even if it's just that few moments, you've got an early warning, hey, someone's just entered the building. Or perhaps, now I'm talking with my security infrastructure hat now, another camera in the hallway that showed people approaching your office as opposed to people that go down to the gymnasium or whatever, would that be helpful?
I would take anything I could get. It would add to, being safe.
Rather than be, 10 minutes of 9, you're about to close up, and then, somebody waltzes in, you didn't see them coming. They're IP cameras, that'd be relatively easy to set up.
May I add one? There was, Joanna Aaron-Garza, by the way, land use clerk. One other incident that happened in the past, that there was someone in the back of the building, the very far back. And so when I go to my office at night for my meetings, I do get concerned that there might be someone still back there. Is that something that we could maybe lock and have a key for access?
So they were in after, towards the back of the building there?
I never witnessed it. I've heard that there was, and that there was actually debris of someone that was there, yes.
So it was someone who didn't belong there.
Correct,
Inside the building?
correct. Back in the storage area. So not to raise any other flags that you guys weren't aware of, but I just, that is a concern of mine as I'm walking to my office,
Yeah.
so.
Chris, can you just take a look and think about?
Yeah, I was thinking of, is it fire egress?
Oh, yeah.
Fire egress locks don't go together well, but, yeah, well,
Something to take a look at, Ed.
yeah, I don't know what the solution to that is.
Chris, when is Gary gonna do the clerks?
I believe we are on track for, just after the general election in November.
Yeah. And I know we've got the cameras, but did we talk and decide not to? We were gonna get rid of these stupid keys.
We're gonna do,
Key punch.
once that's done, we'll do the number pad thing. We're gonna do them all at the same time, essentially. So there'll be a numeric keypad to get in the front door, as well as get in any of the interior
When's-
offices.
And when's that?
Probably just after the town clerk renovations. I think that's probably
Okay.
when it's gonna happen.
Because then that would help address the policy question.
Yes, but the challenge, and we don't know how to solve this yet, and I'm open to suggestions, but the challenge is, this is the community center, and you have a
Right.
lot of different people coming and going. It's the
Yep.
nature of the building.
Right.
Where we don't have a segregation between the business side and the community side, or we have, scout meetings way down the hall, and we have kung fu or whatever, it's, we will know with the cameras and the number codes who's coming and going, but it's not airtight. It's
Right.
not, it doesn't give us that level, and some of those groups, you need to be able to, leave the front door open until 7 o'clock, till everybody gets in here, or 8
Yeah.
o'clock, or whatever it is, and so we don't have the answers to those yet, but,
What time, do we know what time the gym kind of, because, I mean, usually by the time we get done, nobody's in the gym. Like, what time do these classes in the gym get over? Do we know that? What time do the scouts get over? Do we know
Are
that?
those things listed on the on the calendar on the website?
yeah.
Okay,
On the community side.
yeah, so anybody who's using the building essentially is, so Jean, that information is out there. It's on the town website.
And so if we had those keypads and we know, and I don't remember where the keypads are gonna go, because you can't, like,
Depending on the type of system, did we already buy a system?
Yeah, you guys we did all that a while back.
right,
Yeah, I vaguely remember that.
Yeah, I don't know what the time, if there's a time function. I would assume so, because that's a relatively simple thing. I think that's
Yeah.
probably built in. Your access code, those more public access codes, maybe we can make them work until a certain hour or what
right.
have you.
Or even like if like planning and stuff like that, I mean, the office hours are over, right, doors would lock, right? If we know what's the latest one, then on a Wednesday night, the doors
Tough
lock
to,
at this
tough to
time.
predict how late.
But
some
if you can
meetings are gonna
program
go.
it, but yes, but if the town clerk's office closes at 8.
Sure. So for that, it would,
Yeah.
it would be easy for
The
that.
planning would be tough, yes and no, but,
Think about
because
budget committees.
you have well, yeah, but nobody is coming in. Like, you can still get out, but you can't come in.
You might
Yeah.
have to be careful about that, because somebody from the public might come in for a certain portion of the meeting. But
Granted,
it,
but
you know,
yeah, I
it's
think-
something you can
yeah.
look into.
It is doable.
And
What,
then, the other question I had is, how often does the police, can they kind of, at least until we get this stuff implemented, can they kind of scan in? Is that, you know, I know that's not a question for you, that's a question for
Yeah, I
Gunner,
pass it to Gunner,
but, just,
I mean, myself, I can envision some sort of, my work in the office, some of the offices they have, so if I wanna come in, so I have to buzz in, they can see who I am, and they can buzz me in. As soon as I go in, the door's locked again. So that when I go out, you know what I mean, and just,
Yeah, but again, to Chris's point, this is the community center.
no, I'm talking about, particularly like going and do business in the tax collector or whatever. I mean, that's when I seen it get stacked up in there, and then you get people irritated, and I mean, I don't know,
Yeah.
it's too bad that people, they can't be patient, everything's not gonna happen at once, but.
Yeah. Okay, we've got to go into non-public. Thanks, guys, for coming in.
Thank you very much.
Yep. I'll take a motion.
all right, I'll make a motion that the select board enter non-public session under RSA 91-A colon 3, section D.
Second.
Roll call.
Aye, Ben Bartlett.
Tyler Eaton.
Shelley Nanson.
Donna Danus.
Hi, Tony Dumas.